Five-star dining, living my life, living my dream. Oh, shorty, doing my thing, I'm doing my way. Only private jet keys in my yard, oh, ma. Private parties in my house, mama. Fine, fine girls all over me. Fine, fine dreams all over my body. 'Cause I'm the
Peace and blessings, family. This is your brother, asarimhotep, with the Mark Delaney Center for Egyptology. And today is Kujichagulia, aka Monday, September the 4th. And we have with us a special guest with us today, Brother ShakaRa of GotKushTV. and we are going to talk about many things, but primarily his upcoming lecture series for Black History Month. And Black History Month is October out in the UK. And so it's titled Sankofa, The Future of Black History. So we'll get to know our good brother and more about the upcoming series when we return in just a sec. And we are back, and I apologize early for any background noise. I went to work earlier today and was out and about, and I was going to go to the library. However, I did not remember that today is Labor Day, so library is closed. So I decided to come here to this cafe. So I'll definitely be on mute while our good brother is talking today. And so, and excuse the bright light here. I just want to give a shout out to anybody who has made themselves known in the chat. So peace and blessings to Sister Mika, as well as Teti Ursa Ma'at Ross Nefru and Sister Gigi all the way on the West Coast in California, as well as all of those who are watching via Facebook on both the asarimhotep and Harold Johnson pages, as well as on X, aka or formerly known as Twitter. So I appreciate each and every one of you who are joining today. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. And so I don't want to delay any further, but I do want to remind each and every one of you that my latest text, Race and Identity in Ancient Egypt, Volume 1, is currently out, in which you can get at the website, asarimhotep.com. So it's a long-awaited text where I put to bed this notion that Kemet means black land and or black people. But we're having a larger discussion on the race and identity and how the new information actually helps to reaffirm this particular notion. And so when you have the opportunity to make sure that you get that, as well as the text Muntu Wa in Zombie from Dr. Chilima Lima Mukinge, and you can get that on Amazon or on the maduandelapress.com website. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our good brother ShakaRa of GotKushTV. He is many things, including a poet and a writer, as well as an artist in general, educator, and primarily researcher and presenter. He deals primarily with cultural, spiritual, political, and economic empowerment of African people. And he is the creator of GotKushTV, which we will talk about throughout this conversation. He hails all the way out of the UK, and he was recently been appointed the UK chair of the Black Star Action Network International, as well as being the ambassador of arts and culture for the UNIA ACL for 2020. So he is an activist and who is passionate about the need to develop new creative ways to manifest Pan-African agenda in today's world. So I would like to welcome our good brother, ShakaRa. Peace and blessings, good brother. How are you today?
Peace and blessings, bro. It's a pleasure to be hosted by you, and appreciation for your platform and all of the beautiful work that you've been doing on behalf of African people for many decades now. So we give thanks.
Respect. Thank you for coming on today. And
yes,
you know,
sir.
You've been on the platform a couple of times, but in the capacity of our open forums. And so now this is the kind of formal introduction for those of you who are not familiar. So besides what I stated in the intro, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into what you're in now.
I'm born and raised in the craft, so to speak, and I say that proudly. I was born and raised in a Pan-African organization called the Al-Kebulan Revivalist Movement, of which my father is one of the founding members and is the current leader, spiritual leader of the organization. So I have the honor of being second generation within the movement. And as a result, my primary role is an organizer. Wherever it is, I'm in organization. I've been in organization all my life. And so anything else that I do kind of stems from that foundation. So within the context of the Al-Kebulan Revivalist Movement, we are a spiritual, cultural, Pan-African organization. Yeah, as we say, based upon a spiritual, cultural philosophy, which we refer to as Al-Kebulan Livity, which means living according to the divine teachings and traditions of our mother culture, i.e. that which was left by our African ancestors. And the idea, or the basic philosophy, also guided by the political legacy of the most eminent Marcus Mosiah Garvey and Omwale Malcolm X. And so we're a Black nationalist, Pan-Africanist organization with a spiritual, cultural foundation. And the basic premise of the organization is that when the founding mothers and fathers in the 1980s, coming out of the 1970s, were organizing among the other Pan-African organizations, it was felt that there was a lot of talk about African culture and African spirituality, but in a very intellectual sense, yeah, that the political education was sound, was beautiful, and was powerful, and the organization around our political aims was very important, but that it needed to be undergirded by our culture, by the institutionalization of our culture as African people, as a means for guiding our liberation efforts. And so that is the basic premise of the Al-Kebulan Revivalist Movement. As Garveyites, we are essentially institution builders. And so we've owned businesses, we have developed educational institutions, primarily the Al-Kebulan Academy of Excellence, which is really where I get my foundations in terms of educating. I've been educating young people for basically all of my adult life. And I do so now within the Al-Kebulan, but also as a part of the Homeschoolers University, which is run by Queen Thais over there in Atlanta. Yeah, it's an online institution in which I teach media studies. I've taught English language and communications. I've taught performing arts. I've also taught African world history to students from between the ages of 6 and 18 years old. As you said, I'm a spoken word artist. I won't go too much into that. If it comes out in a conversation, we'll deal with that. But as far as GotKushTV, slight correction, I'm not the creator. I am the current director, however. But I have been, I have been working with GotKushTV since its inception. Yeah, as a spoken word artist, one of the things that I used to do as a part of the Al-Kebulan Revivalist Movement, and I say we'll be doing again, is I had an event called Messiah Storm, which was looking at basically just creating a platform for artists with a message in their music, inspired by the influence that the Garvey movement of the 1920s had within its era, in terms of spoken word, in terms of poetry, in terms of jazz, in terms of the arts, of that era. And so Messiah Storm was that platform. Beautiful, beautiful event. And so what happened was GotKushTV got started in 2015. And in that year, February, we were honoring and commemorating the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Omwale Malcolm X. And so we decided to do a storm in honor of Malcolm, and GotKushTV got in contact. It was either their first or second event that was covered. and they got in contact and said, we want to come and cover the event. And so ever since then, that relationship built up. In 2018, I joined the team of directors. Yeah. And so I am now the current director, if that makes sense. But there's been a shuffle around. So I'm trying to, you know, champion the thing and take it to new heights.
Respect. And so I'm assuming the GotKushTV is kind of a play on the old school Got Milk, you know, advertisement from back in the day. But yeah. I do want to ask in terms of because we're going to get on to the event which you have kindly, you know, asked me to participate in. But I want to kind of talk about Black History Month in the UK context. Right. Yes. If you know that history, can you relay that to us?
Certainly. And I'm hoping to get an interview prior to leading up to the series with a man by the name of Achaba Adayesebo. He's from Ghana. Yeah. And he currently lives there, but he's back and forth between here and there. He is the father, or the primary father. There are others, yeah, of Black History Month in the UK. And during my opening presentation for the series, I'm going to be delving into this history quite significantly, yeah. But basically, Black History Month in the UK begins in 1987, and the era in the history of Africans in the UK is very, very important because there are a number of uprisings, yeah, what they call riots that take place basically for the entire decade, but primarily between 1980 and 1985, yeah. That period is very, very hot. And so interesting link between Britain and America. One of the things that the British government does is that it looks for advice from its children in America, the American government, in terms of how to do with rioting Black folks. Yeah. And the story goes that the CIA and the FBI sent over some consultants. All right. You know, and I'll go more into that history in the presentation. However, that period, is a strong period of organizing among African people in the UK. There are many brothers and sisters, elders of mine who worked with Julius Nyerere in 1974 with the Sixth Pan-African Congress, and out of that comes the Pan-African Congress movement and a number of other Pan-African organizations. And in 1987, what is being celebrated is what is called African Jubilee Year. So it's the centenary of the birth of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. It's the 150th anniversary of the emancipation from slavery as far as the Caribbean is concerned. And it's also an anniversary in relation to the founding of the OAU. Yes. And so there's all kinds of celebration going on and observances, and they declare the year between 1987 and 1988 African Jubilee Year. And within that context, a man by the name of Achaba Adayesebo, who was born in Ghana but had also lived in America. Yes. So he learned about Black History Month in the United States of America. And they decided that something similar needs to be instituted in the UK. And they choose October as the month, which annoys some people, even in the UK. They're like, why are we separate from the rest of the African diaspora in this regard? Because everywhere else in the world, and even including throughout the rest of Europe, Black History Month is observed in February. Yeah, in line with what Carter G. Woodson had designated, and those after him had designated. But there are reasons which, again, I'll go into in the presentation. But yeah, it's been celebrated since 1987, and I don't mind saying now that the lineup for that Black History Month celebration was a mad thing. Yeah, the Africans from all over the world, including the wife of Robert Mugabe at the time, Maulana Karenga, Baba Tony Martin, you know, and a few others. I ain't gonna go into all of them. I'll say one of them, Max Roach, yeah, the great jazz drummer, you know, came over for the first inaugural Black History Month in the UK. And we also had the blessing, because Thomas Sankara, who was then the president of Burkina Faso, was very interested. And when he heard about it, he actually wrote a letter yeah, of support and endorsement of the Black History Month that was taking place in the UK, he actually was assassinated months after the writing of that letter.
That's crazy, and it's interesting because some colleagues and I who are in the sciences in various different degrees chose October as Black Science Month, and every October, you know, we highlight scientists, you know, Black African scientists from around the world, as well as just, you know, science in general. So it's interesting that, you know, the topic that, you know, you requested that I speak on is quantum field theory, you know, as African heritage, as from a book that I'm preparing, and so it just all comes in divine timing, as people say.
Yes,
so,
yes, sir.
Speaking of that, you know, now can you let us know a bit about the series, Sankofa, the Future of Black History? Excuse me, the future of, Sankofa, the Future of Black History.
Yep. So the idea basically is that, well, every year I'm engaged in some form of Black History Month observance with one organization or another. And the idea for this particular series is to institute and emphasize the true meaning and the true purpose of history. Yeah. I'm a Garveyite. That comes through the school of Chinwezu and Mama Marimba Ani and Nana Amos Wilson. Yeah. And with all those and more, they speak about the true meaning and the true value of history and how it informs our present day reality. And as Baba John Henrik Clarke says, most importantly, history tells the people where they still must go and what they still must be. And so the idea is that we are always creating history every day in our present, current day circumstance. As the saying goes, history is not just past, but it's past, present, and continuous. Yeah. And so the presentations that I've amassed for this series are ones that have a direct relationship and link to our current day reality as African people around the world. Yeah. And there are brothers and sisters from around the world who are featured within the series, as well as the fact that we want to have some kind of trajectory towards future missions. Yeah. So if our children are listening and they're trying to work out what contribution am I going to make, you know, via my life to the world, they have some roadmap based upon studying and analyzing the condition of African people as it stands right about now. So just to break it down even further, for my presentation, which is The Future is Black, Why is Our History Under Attack? It's going to be looking really, as I was just doing, at the history of Black History Month as it develops under the leadership of Carter G. Woodson and also Achebe Adayesebo. But then looking at the recent attacks that we've seen in terms of, for example, as you know, the monarch of this country passed away just about a year ago. Yeah. And around that time, there was all kinds of conversation about colonization and whether the British monarchy needs to pay reparations to those it colonized. And there was a viral video going around. I'm not sure if you saw it, but with Don Lemon on CNN being interviewed by this British lady who is a friend of the royal family, and he ventured to ask her about reparatory justice, and she began her answer by talking about the fact that yes, well, whenever we're going to be talking about a crime of that nature, we need to look at the beginning of the supply chain. Yes, and she identified the beginning of the supply chain as African chiefs. Yeah, off the coast of Africa. All right, so we see that narrative, and then we see what's happening in Florida with DeSantis and the anti-woke curriculum. And in the UK recently, you'll be familiar with Professor Hakim Adi. author of Pan-Africanism and History, as well as many other titles. But he was running a PhD program course, and his course has been axed from the University of Chichester. There have also been some high profile attacks over here against leading reparations activists. And so we're going to be looking into that, what that means, what those attacks means in the present, and how us correcting the narrative will lead into us developing and being more self-determined in terms of our future. Robin Walker, who needs no introduction, is going to be delivering a presentation on We Create Value, the ingenuity of enslaved Africans, simply emphasizing the fact that Africans were not only enslaved for our labor, but also our ingenuity. And so this has two implications for our present and future development. One, the ingenuity in terms of scientific and technological development. A lot of that comes from our indigenous cultures as African people. So it puts our indigenous culture into a different light, a light that makes it viable for scientific and technological development. And two, it also has implications also for the reparations conversation. That's the 2 points where his presentation is concerned. Then we have Sister Aya Eneli, who is doing work at the moment in terms of developing agricultural programs and a library within her home village in Nigeria. Yeah. And so, but her journey is one of discovering, searching through her ancestral line, reconnecting with the spiritual system of her ancestors also, and then doing that work. And so that's just an example of how history and African spirituality informs our current purpose and work. And she's developing an African-centered library in Opobo in Nigeria. And of course yourself, which really should speak for itself in terms of quantum field theory. Yeah. And so we're dealing with really frontier science, and the extent to which our African culture is viable to operate within frontier scientific fields in this day and age. And so that, has a future implication also. So the idea is basically that looking at these 4 presentations, there are avenues for looking at how we're going to continue to create history in our future development.
Indeed, indeed. And I would love if we can get Sister Aya, on the show prior to the event, so she can, kind of introduce herself to this platform. But I especially, given her topic, want to, connect it to this initiative in which I call ShakaRa. Right, and is based upon my research, which you can find in the text Race and Identity in Ancient Egypt, Volume 1, where the emphasis is agriculture in terms of the name of ancient Kemet. At least that's my argument, and the proof is in the text. And so with that research, really kind of emphasizing this need for urban agriculture, food sovereignty, and to make plans for the future, especially when you consider climate change and how that affects the politics, saying access to resources and things of this nature. And so this within, of course, within a larger discussion of power acquisition, because you're going to have power in order to be able to amass these resources and protect it in these particular times.
100%.
So that
100%.
she would definitely be a good addition to that. And just want to let people know that this is the temporary book cover for the upcoming text, Quantum Field Theory is African Heritage, Exploring Indigenous Theories of the Subatomic World. And so that'll be a couple of years though. So I got to get this book out of the way, pass to my essays in honor of Dr. Muvabinge Gololo out of the Congo. And then, of course, I got to introduce, doing an introductory guide to Kimoyo, a reconceptualization of African spirituality. Anyway.
Yes, sir. Let me just say, my brother, first of all, I believe we can work out the interview with Sister Aya on that front. And 2 other points on that, because I'm in this. I delivered a presentation actually recently. Every first Sunday of the month in the Al-Kebalan Revivalist, we have Shumida. which is our monthly worship. And I was called upon to deliver the message for May, which is African Liberation Day month. And so the title of the message was Uhuru Udongo, free up the land. And we was looking at land, yeah, and its importance in relation to independence and sovereignty, yeah. And so we're on a similar track, because when I was in Sierra Leone last year, as has been said, I am the UK head of the Black Star Action Network International, and one of the major programs of of Basani is an agricultural program called Tools and Seeds, and I was able to step on land, yeah, in Sierra Leone, which we are, collaborating with an indigenous community in Sierra Leone to run agricultural programs, yeah. And so there's that, but also suggesting, I did tag this brother in your post because you were asking for suggestions, a brother by the name of Tenicio, who's over there in Atlanta, big into the agricultural thing. And I know, how familiar are you with Kidi Obiawadu of LIB Radio? You're on mute, I think, if you're speaking.
My bad, because of the background noise.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I do at all. Well, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, brother Keely has been doing some work for quite some time in terms of urban agriculture development. So I'd love to put you in contact with those two people as well for that program.
The more the merrier. I'm trying to highlight it all and connect people from around the world on this movement.
Yes, sir.
That of course has been part of the liberation. Like I want to connect the agriculture, urban agriculture and things, and food sovereignty to the liberation movement as
yes,
a key
sir.
component of that. So
100.
That link up would be excellent. And I just want to remind folks that you can go to GotKushTV.com. That's the link that I'm showing currently right now. There is a nominal fee for each presentation, or you can get it at a discounted rate for the entire series. So when you go to the website, you can register there and get all the details for that. And so it gives you the schedule here. So it looks like it's going to be every Wednesday at 7 p.m. London time, 2 p.m. the same time that we're starting right now, 2 p.m. Eastern time here in the United States on the East Coast, of course. So
I should also say that anybody who registers, yeah, you have access to the thing whenever you want to watch it, yeah. So don't feel like if you can't come live, you can't come through. Get your ticket anyway and watch it whenever you can, yeah.
Indeed. And so we've had Robin Walker on the program before, and we'll probably have him on again just to kind of introduce his particular lecture on the series. And then of course, if we can get Sister Aya on as well, so y'all can get more familiar with the other speakers. One, of course, you're getting to know right now. And so again, that is matter of fact, let me put it in the banners real quick so that everybody can see. HTTP GotKushTV.com, and boom, there you go. And you will be one of the chosen ones, and ancestors return, for joining this series. So make sure that you please, forward this link, and I believe there's some flyers, some digital flyers that you can share on your social media networks that you can give from the site as well, or you can go to my page and just download them from there as well. So let me get that down, stop the screen. And so have you been doing this series, or is this the first of an ongoing thing for Black History Month in the UK?
This is the first iteration of Sankofa, The Future of Black History. I've been involved in many other series before. For example, The Lion's Tale, with Visions and Aspirations, prior to, and many other, but this is the first iteration, as in GotKushTV hosting a Black History Month series entitled The Future of Black History Month. Sorry, The Future of Black History. Yeah. You know. But I should say this, we're always engaged in Black History Month work, partly because of the fact that every time Black History Month comes around, and this is a problem that I see in the UK as well as the USA, people are always asking questions like, why do we allow them to give us a month to celebrate our history? And that question, the premise of the question is for us, right? So it's ahistorical. And so we've always been engaged in that work, trying to correct that false narrative and put Black History Month in its proper context as well. And I should also mention the fact that one of the things that we're going to be doing on GotKushTV this year is we're going to be honoring the Grenada Revolution, because it is 40 years, since the implosion, as they say, of the Grenada Revolution, which took place between 1979 and 1983, the assassination of Maurice Bishop, who was the Prime Minister of Grenada during that period. Stay tuned for that also. Just saying it because it's an important part of our history, recent history, that we need to come to terms with.
And just to remind the audience that, that what you just said, it was a common question even here in the United States, in terms of, or a common statement, like they let us have February, and it's the shortest month in the year. And that wasn't the case. That, for those who understand the history, is Carter G. Woodson picked that month because of certain key people, were born, and certain activities were prominent in February, and so that's why he chose that month. But also, what people got to understand is that Black History, because it started off as a week, here. So Black History Week, or Negro History Week, as it was called at the time, was not like a situation where you would, like you would kind of learn about Black history in February. It was part of a year-long curriculum, and at the end of the year, which is the beginning or of the curriculum, you're supposed to provide reports and stuff of what you learned and what you've done throughout the previous year. So when you understand it within that context, it is not something in terms of they chose this for us, and that you have to wait until February to start learning and doing things about African history and culture and the like. So it's part of a larger year-long curriculum. And so, like, when February comes, it's supposed to be like a final exam. Like, what have you learned throughout the year? And provide your reports. Remember, Carter G. Woodson is a teacher, so he, he's doing stuff for students, and so it's within that context.
Yes, sir. What you just said, I'm gonna be actually providing the evidence for that in my presentation. Yeah, exactly what you just outlined. We're gonna have the evidence for that in the words of Carter G. Woodson and some of the work that he did, and on at least one occasion when he got vexed with the people that he was working with. In relation to that specific point. So we're gonna have the evidence of that in the presentation also. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. And for those of you who are just joining us on the Mbongi today, we are here with our good brother ShakaRa of GotKushTV, and we are discussing an upcoming lecture series titled Sankofa, The Future of Black History, which would be held online throughout the month of October. And again, if you are just joining us, I'm gonna need each and every one of you to right, make sure that you like and subscribe to the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can be alerted when we have more dynamic speakers like our good brother ShakaRa here today. And so outside of the upcoming thing, the upcoming series, what else do you have in the works? Do you plan on leaving like a guide for the future in the form of a text, any documentary films, go on, you start a martial arts school or something, what you got going on?
So I'll be specific to GotKush for now. There are many things that we have on stream. GotKushTV for me is necessary in the sense of the fact that, once again, I'm a Garveyite. One of the lessons that we learned from Marcus Garvey and the Garvey movement. Shout out to my brother Kalam, you know what I'm saying? Big up yourself. When I say no, yeah. One of the things that we learn from the Garvey movement is that we must master the media of our time. Yeah. And in the so-called information age, where information is one of, if not the primary currency of social mobility and development, we need to have media that is advocating and producing on behalf of African people within an African-centered and a Pan-African framework. And so my mission for GotKushTV is to build such an edifice. There are a number of shows that we have, pilot shows that we have, one of which is Wordsmith, which is about the artist, once again, having a platform to just drop bars. Yeah. There's also the Kush Communiversity. And by the way, Kush is an acronym, stands for Knowledge, Unity, Strength, and Health. Yeah. And so I'm looking to bring back the Kush Communiversity at some point this year, probably starting next month as well. Gonna have like a 12 episode series. A couple episodes of that have been released already, but we're going to be doing that. That's a platform for the scholars, yeah. I should say the scholar activists in our community to come and just drop knowledge, yeah. But produced at the highest quality that we can possibly at our current stage of development. There's also the Black Group Economic Show, yeah, which is a show that is really, as it says on the tin, geared towards engendering and popularizing Black group economic theory and practice among African people. Hopefully going to be bringing that back on stream next year, yeah, in 2024. And there are a number of other projects through GotKushTV that we want to bring on stream. One of my major goals, yeah, and yes, there are documentary ideas, but I'm gonna keep a lid on those for now. All right, because that's going to be a future thing. But one of our major goals is to be able to shine a light on progressive Pan-African work that is taking place in the African diaspora. Yeah. So wherever there's some beautiful institution building going on, wherever, for example, Africans are challenging neo-colonialism in Burkina Faso or Mali or wherever Africans are developing agricultural programs or building schools with a African-centered and a Pan-African ethos, yeah, wherever that work is taking place, wherever there are Africans trying to preserve cultural traditions like carnival, yeah, but not just within the, why not wind up and jump and wine and wave your flag, but within grounding it in the history and culture of Africans within the Caribbean and our resistance against enslavement and colonization. Where that work is taking place, we want to be able to be there and shine a light on that work also. And so we want to tell the good stories, the positive stories, the powerful stories that are out there. As I've said already, where Basani is concerned, we have an agricultural program. There's also a Be Clean campaign, yeah, which we're currently involved in, which is Africans from around the world, yeah, take part in this. And it's just going into the neglected areas in our community, whether we're in Lagos or we're in London, whether we are in Washington, D.C., or whether we are in Freetown, Sierra Leone. Yeah, we go into the neglected areas of the community and just do a cleanup among the people, yeah, with the people. And so, being able to profile that kind of work, that is the aim of the platform. And in the not too distant future, also want to have some regular current affairs and news-based programming coming through the platform also. So people that just have a purview are able to look around the African world and present analysis on what is taking place in the African world. You know what I'm saying? So we're based in the UK, but we don't want to be too UK centric, although, you know, that will be naturally our starting point and foundation. So when I have the means to pay any amount of videographers and cameramen, I'm going to invite you to join to do a session on Kushkim University. You know what I'm saying? But I need to be able to just, you know, send a couple $100 over the waters for a cameraman and all them thing there. But we'll get there at some point. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Maybe we can work something out, because I have my own camera here. And speaking of, we for many of y'all who remember, you know, we started a process about a year ago for the upcoming film China Into, which will be highlighting the relationship between ancient Kemet and modern African societies, especially the Into cultures and the like. And our good brother had mentioned some information dealing with Guyana earlier, and I just wanted to highlight a text. I can only find it in the Kindle version on Amazon, but one of the people who will be interviewing in October for the film is Dr. Kamani Nahusi out of Guyana, but many may know him from his time in the UK, and he's now here in Philadelphia teaching at Temple University. And so I just wanted to shout him out and just kind of big up his book, People's Political History of Guyana, 1838 to 1964. And so, you know, a very well-rounded scholar, and many of y'all may know his other book, Libation and African Ritual Heritage in the Circle of Life. So y'all, you know, for those in the Patreon, of course, you know, when I do the interviews, I'll take a little snippet and show y'all some of the raw footage, and then, you know, we're going to put together a proof of concept trailer and start the fundraising from there. But I'm not gonna lie, bro,
I'm looking forward to that film. I actually sent a donation in when you first announced it. I'm looking forward to that film. Your work is very much in line with my life, yeah, and you'll be able to identify that if you hear my you know, you listen to my bio and them kind of things there. The need for us to be able to practicalize African spirituality and culture is fundamental, yeah, is fundamental. Big up to Dr. Talawa in the building, you know what I'm saying? I see you man that, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but yeah, so give thanks for that, and I just look forward to seeing that come to fruition. And I don't mind saying whatever we can do to assist as an institution, not just as an individual ShakaRa, but as an institution as GotKushTV, we're willing to do to help promote. So
I appreciate it. And definitely, I'm be trying to raise money. I'm trying to get to Europe so I can hit three locations. So London, Germany. I'm trying to see, what is he in Germany? I'm trying to get Dr. Bilolo and Dr. Kalamba and Sapo and some other Francophone speaking Egyptologists and philosophers out of Congo, but they're in Belgium. But I think, I don't know, but I would be in that area. Then of course in France, and to talk to our good brothers and sisters there, and hit up the museums, and maybe go to Speaker's Corner and start some mess. You know, who knows? But before we go, is there anything that you want to say and inform the people? And then we'll, if you can share, you know, any kind of social media tags or resources, so we know where to find you and how they can participate in anything that you got going on.
Give thanks, my brother. Thank you, first of all, for providing the platform and for your continued work, as I said, as I open. As far as my personal social media, ShakaRa speaks on everything. You will often see me named ShakaRa Ochiame, which is tree, but ShakaRa speaks on everything. You find me and or GotKushTV, GotKushTV on everything as far as GotKushTV is concerned. I just want to encourage brothers and sisters to follow the development of GotKushTV, because through it, you will be able to follow the development and the work of many African-centered scholars, historians, and revolutionary Pan-African organizations around the African world. We are very serious about the role that positive and progressive media can play in our liberation fight. Yeah, I don't necessarily consider myself a scholar. I do research, there are many who do consider me a scholar, especially in the field of Garveyism. Yeah, that's probably the only area that I can say I can start some primary research in. I'm very much a secondary researcher and educator, but primarily, as I said, I'm an organizer and an institution builder. That is my foundation. Yeah, and so I build on the work of scholars and researchers, and try to develop institutions and frameworks to make their work live. Yes, through our daily interaction, through how we engage economics, through how we engage spirituality, through how we engage politics. And so the building of a media institution, especially in this day and age, is imperative. Yeah, it's not a sideline gesture, it's not a sideline venture. All right, so I just want to encourage brothers and sisters to follow, subscribe to GotKushTV, yeah, and follow our development and do contribute as and where you can. This is a serious mission, yeah, for us, and we look forward to growing and manifesting much along with you all.
Appreciate it. And I do not take this lightly, to be involved in these conversations with great minds of people who are doing the work, and to share ideas other than mine on this platform, and to show that there are like minds around the world, and we're all doing what we can to better the circumstances and consciousness of African people. So I appreciate everything that you have been doing, and will be doing in the future, and any way that we can help out here. We got your back. And I want to thank each and every one of you who are listening, and thank you for your continued support for this channel, and of course for our guest. And y'all continue to push, and there's going to be some changes to the platform in the near future, coming 2024. So I hope that you are here with the change, and more things, more kind of how should I say, more kind of filmed content instead of just live interviews.
Yes, sir.
And so we'll have a bit more of that, and possibly some co-host and just other shows on the channel. So I believe wholeheartedly, like you said, but I'm also as a computer guy, I would love for each and every one of us to have our own servers, and that we have each somebody or a couple of people in each one of the organizations who understand networking and backing up and stuff like this. Because although, for example, those who are familiar with Fresh and Fit, their content was kind of out there, but it re-emphasizes this need to have our own spaces, and to be able to store our own mediums, and that we could benefit from our own content, and to try to control the process in every situation, every which way possible. So there'll be some shows just about that, how to do some some scientific work with you, how to turn your computers to more than just saying what's up to your gal and arguing with Negroes on Facebook. But again, thank each and every one of you for joining. Until next time, and see y'all on GotKushTV in October. And until next time, peace.
Feeling like I dropped the draw for and caught Uno. Came to kick the door while the game man judo. Pin game low, that's why they give me kudos. Inspired by the 3-0. 595, check it for pack light. Hit the turnpike, slide to a baseline. Gotta sound like I just hit the 85. Oh, I'm so ready, by enemies necessary. We gon' be legendary, hold up. About to grow the payrolls. If you see the vision and you're with it, you should say so. Cause we about building, elevating the million.